What are we doing today? What is it? What is it that we came here to do? What is it? What is it that we're doing?
We came here to talk to Shawn about his not safe for work comics. Correct?
That's correct.
Ish.
It's got.
Well, there's more depth to it than that, but
I
that's
mean,
a
there's more depth to it, but I
generalization.
mean,
My bad. It's not wrong. It's just not.
It is
it's
not safe
it's
for
not
work.
wrong.
Also, just to give people a heads up listening, I don't really drink anymore, and I decided to have a drink today. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I invite him on to do something, and he's just like, "Hey, well, I've got a couple of beers while I do.
I'm
Why
gonna
not?
need a
Got to
drink
stick
for
to the
this.
brand."
Pretty much.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so I am Jared Whittaker. This is my good friend. We all may know him as James. I also call him Husky Poo. He's my good friend, and we are here with Mr. Shawn Hainsworth. I hope I'm saying the last name correctly.
Yep, that's me.
All right. Haha, I didn't mess that up. See, suck it, Anthony. I didn't mess up yet. So
Yeah.
anyway, we are very much here. We were approached about talking about Mr. Shawn Haydenworth's upcoming comic, and we were reached out to, and I was like, I don't know how they even found us, but hey, I'm totally open with doing anything that's in relation to comic books. So go for it. Yes. With that, as we tend to do here, James is more of the interviewee kind of person. The questions of things, I'm more just ask random questions. James, you're more interview per se. Is there anything that we should open this with before I just start delving into the random things that I'm going to bring up?
The first thing we need to do is have Shawn tell everybody a little bit about himself, maybe a little bit of background, and what got you into writing in the first place.
Yeah, sure. Be happy. So, first thing you should know is that I'm old. I've been doing this for a while. I started out making documentary films back in the '90s, and I made about 5 feature-length documentaries. But I was always interested in writing, screenplays, fiction. And when my kids were born, I stopped traveling around the world making documentaries, and I started writing late at night. And I had a whole bunch of ideas collected over the years, and I started producing some screenplays and some, half completed novels, of which Aerotech was one. And at a certain point, I just decided, I'm going to start producing these because there's no point in writing them to sit in a file on my computer. So one of the more recent pieces, it's called Woodstake. It's about a vampire at Woodstock. And I took that down to the
I'm interested.
Clever.
And while I was there, I just thought, you know what, the problem with being a screenwriter in short is that you don't own anything and you don't have any control, right? If you're lucky enough to sell a screenplay, you pretty much just say goodbye to it, and they can do whatever they want with it, and you don't even own the
Chop it
intellectual
to
property.
bits and change everything, but they like the concept kind of deal.
Yeah, wham bam, thank you, ma'am,
Mhm.
and off we go, man. And so I decided I was going to do these comics. I love comics. I was not a big Marvel DC guy, but I was kind of a R. Crumb, Mad Magazine kind of kid. And then I fell into like Watchmen and Frank Miller's Dark Knight and some of that stuff in the '80s, and then picked up some of the indie comics, from Image and Dark Horse, sort of Hellboy and that kind of stuff in the '90s. And I was always
The
in
Dark
love.
Horse, is that who did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
That's a good question. I should know that because the guy who wrote
It's a
that,
good
when
question.
you said Dark Horse, and that's the first thing that popped into my head. So I don't know, maybe it's
and he
not them,
lives
maybe
like
it
the next
is.
town over from me.
You know
I've
what?
never met him, but
No
he's a
shit.
local hero. Yeah,
Wow. And where
yeah.
do you live?
I live in Western Mass. I live in he lives in
Massachusetts.
Amherst, and I live kind of across the river in Northampton, near Northampton, Mass. It's all kind of central Western Mass.
Oh, right on, right on.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so I just decided I was going to take these 3 stories that I've been working on recently, find myself artists and produce them. And so And Kickstarter now is a beautiful thing for independent creators.
Amazing platform.
Amazing thing. And it's a lot more possible these days. A lot of great artists out there. And so I just went for it. And I found 3 really great artists, particularly Jeffrey Kroshik, who did Erotic, was just, an incredible find. I can't believe we managed to hook up because he's just so perfect for this project. And so, yeah, we've done 2 Kickstarters. We've done about 12,000 over the 2 Kickstarters. Which surpassed my wildest dreams when we started. And
I would say so, man.
Yeah, and we're rocking and rolling. So I got issue 2 of Woodstake coming out next month. I got issue 2 of the sci-fi, which is called Killing Machine, coming out probably in September. And Aerotech 2, we're gonna launch probably early next year. So we're moving.
Hell yeah, absolutely badass.
All good news then, man.
Yeah. So I guess you kind of went over your inspirations for what, in terms of comics that have kind of put you where you're at with your writing. What made you decide to go with vampires?
It was really just Woodstake. The idea hit me of a vampire at Woodstock, and it was just kind of too delicious.
Well, the name's fantastic,
right?
Yeah, for real.
And the other thing is, I grew up, kind of in the 70s, and we were still kind of in awe of hippies. But then at a certain point, you realize that they were just so naive. There's just, it's interesting to see more time pass and see what happened to that generation. But there was so much optimism, and there was so much, really actually peace and love for the most part. There was a lot of
they weren't wrong. I'll say that the world just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, and so
that's true.
Who do you throw into that world but the most cynical creature in the universe, right? A vampire that just
yes,
white horse and leaves their dead body by the side of the road. So, and of course he's got to drink the blood of somebody who's been tripping on LSD. So now we got a vampire. Yeah. It just, there's too much fun.
That sounds way interesting.
See, that's where I was hoping that might go, is like, what if with all the drugs and things that are being passed around, like, would he? I'm so glad to hear that is something that comes up.
He actually gets stoned with somebody and they're talking about like life in the universe, so but there's so much great stuff in there. Actually, one of the fun details I found is that a small cinema had brought a 16mm projector and was showing movies up at Woodstock. One of which was Nosferatu. So I've got him, blundering into a screening of Nosferatu at one point. So,
nice.
It's definitely like there's a lot of cultural references, which, a lot of readers will not get. But that's okay. Like,
the ones that appreciate it will appreciate it. Though.
They will definitely appreciate it.
It's very true.
Yeah. And, so I'm aiming for that kind of Shaun of the Dead type blend of, cultural comedy, but real horror. Like, I want this to be scary.
Absolutely. Hey, when you write your next episode, can you toss in some Lost Boy references for me?
Yeah. You're talking about the Kiefer Sutherland Lost Boys.
Yes. Real vampires, the things that disappeared and now they sparkle. Those ones, the real ones. Yeah. From the 80s.
Yeah, that is actually probably one of my favorite vampire films in the 80s.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorites of all time, movie-wise, like at all.
God, yeah.
It's fantastic.
It really is. It really is. It's scary as shit, too.
Yeah, watching it at 5 years old probably wasn't the best idea I ever had.
Who's to say? I think we turned out fine.
We did. We did. Except for you're wearing a suit. Yeah, we all know you don't wear a suit. You would if you had it. He would. He would wear it.
I think the last time I wore a suit was Anthony's wedding. Yeah, nobody needs to see. So speaking of all, everything you write seems to have like a horror inspiration. Was there, like, growing up, was there any kind of like? Because I know for me personally, I'm more like, I like slashers and like monster flicks. Like if it's a monster thing, it's guaranteed I'll turn it on. I probably won't turn it off, even if it's terrible, just because I'm like, no, it's people running around screaming. There's a thing. Like, what like inspires you? Like, what was your more of your realm in all of that?
Yeah, it's funny. So I was definitely a film geek. I studied film in college, and I just got obsessed with all kinds of film, like starting with Buster Keaton and The Silence, and through I became really obsessed with samurai movies and spaghetti westerns and horror. It's funny. I have a funny relationship with horror. So I like horror, but I like it when there's more of a concept behind it.
That's fair.
I'm less into just the slasher movie for the sake of
aimless bullshit,
the jump scares and stuff. Okay. I know a lot of people, they're just adrenaline goes for that. And I totally get that. And that's fine. That's not,
you can have both though.
You can have both.
If you do it.
You can. It just has to be a good balance of it.
Like the first 3 Friday the 13th movies and everything after that was just garbage.
Yeah. The next, 9? How many did they make?
I don't know, maybe the next couple after 3 were okay.
Didn't they put Jason on the moon at one point, or Jason?
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I like Jason X.
Jason X, that's the one.
Probably one of the few people that actually liked it because it was. They tried really hard to put something behind it. Yeah. And I mean, it all makes sense if you wrap your head around it. I mean, what he is, what he could be, and nanite technology.
I'd like to see that, actually. Dude, it's interesting with it, too. Like, it is a science fiction type thing because he's like a space creature.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, space horror. Yeah. Space horror is a cool genre.
I'd take an alien over Jason Voorhees in my spaceship any fucking day of the week.
Yeah.
I know I can kill the xenomorph. I can't kill Jason.
I mean, you could, but what cost?
Exactly.
What cost?
He comes back. What's the point? He's just gonna come back.
Yep, he's gonna. You kick him out of your spaceship. Next thing you know, he's on the planet you land on. I mean, that's how it's gonna work because it's him. So.
Sure, he walks really slow in space to get there.
Floats.
Floats.
Let's get real here. Come on.
For me, the horror film of the 80s that we were all obsessed with was The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Of course. I mean, come on.
I mean, just so brilliant and so, wonderfully terrifying and funny at the same time. Just that paranoia. Is just brilliant. Yeah. And actually, I showed my son the original Thing from Another World, Howard Hawks in the 1950s, and that's actually a good film too. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's not John Carpenter's The Thing, but it's pretty awesome. So that was our inspiration.
Really good, actually. Yeah, have really good stories. I would love to see followed today.
Well, that's something like with John Carpenter's The Thing. I know it's been circling around for a while. I don't know who all is actually going to do anything with it. But I know that the story that it was based on, I guess they found like the entire finished thing, and there has been talks about making something on that to complete the story. I don't know if anyone's actually going to do it, but I have heard that getting thrown around quite a bit.
I saw the prequel. Yeah. I did not. It's funny watching that prequel, where it ends with the wolf running toward their camp, right? So it's like it ends with the beginning of The Thing. But it was funny. I was watching that and I'm thinking it's using all of the same devices, but it's just not working. Nothing worked. I don't know why.
It really didn't. That was a movie where it was meant to be a prequel, but it felt like it was trying to be a remake at the same time, and it seems to just trip over itself trying to decide what exactly it's trying to do, which is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I'm thinking you can just do the same thing and it's going to work, but it doesn't work. I mean, Carpenter's a great director, and yeah, they just didn't have it. So, and I don't know how you make something that happens afterwards. I mean, you could potentially. I mean, it's left open-ended. But,
yeah, that is also
there are some clever writers out there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, someone could do it. You just got to get the right person.
It's fair. James is also a vampire. You can't be in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to adjust my curtains. I can feel the burn.
The burn. Man. Okay. So yeah, John Carpenter's thing. No, I would agree there. That one, I think that's a movie that, I mean, I was brought up with that by my dad at a young age, just because he saw I was already starting to get into that kind of thing. Like, yeah, no, John Carpenter's thing, I think will always be a classic, for the simple fact, like, most
one
movies
won't
rely on
age.
CGI.
Yeah, that movie won't age outside of its resolution. Like it's and there's AI
and that's what I
upscaling
love
and all
about
that
it.
shit
It's
that can change anyways. But
the practical effect work that Carpenter used in like all of his movies, honestly, like, because another one that's like more of like a guilty pleasure for me, because I know rewatching it now, not the best movie ever. It has its issues, but it's still fun. John Carpenter's Vampires is another one where it's like the practical effect use in that, like, you're not going overly CGI to make your vampires, and there's a lot of like just neat use of vampires on that one as well. So that's another one where it's like the practical effects I enjoy. So John Carpenter, like The Thing, like,
I
it's
miss
the practical use where things
effects
can look realistic and it
movies
holds
a
up
lot.
still. And I think will always be that too. God only knows.
I think that's
I think
part of
that
why I
movie
like
is
Lost
held up.
Boys so much. Oh yeah,
God, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
held up.
I mean,
big
held up
time.
as an example of outstanding special effects. I
Yes.
should know who did the
God,
special
yeah.
effects, but that's like a landmark of special effects, pre CGI special effects. And there's something so pleasurable about it. I actually get so annoyed watching movies now where things are CGI and they don't need to be, and they just don't quite look right. And I'm afraid we're losing all the skills we developed before they were computers.
Well,
I 100% agree there.
easier, it's more efficient, and I mean, I now it probably costs less. I mean, at one point it didn't. Like they were probably around the same, and now it's any Tom, Dick, and Harry can probably throw together some shit that looks somewhat realistic. You know what I mean? That's
and who would you even get do it the old school way? I mean, there's no one to hire.
Oh God.
You'd have to go pull someone off of those TV shows where people actually do it. Like Halloween, you see a lot of it between like the baking shows, the pumpkin carving contests, and then there's another one we watch every year. I can't think of what it's called, but they do the like full blown cosmetics on a person. You'd have to go find somebody like that where it's super niche, but they exist.
Yeah.
But
I think they're in the back part of the store of Spirit of Halloween, and you have to ask somebody for a special key to get in the room. That's why just nobody's found them yet.
What do they do for the other 11 months of the year?
Nobody knows.
Robin bought it.
So we were, as I said, we have many comics and different stories that are being written.
The Thing. That's who it was. Special effects artist.
So we have Woodstake and
Robin Bottin.
Robin Bottin.
Bottin.
Well, hats off to him.
Okay. So we have Woodstake. What can you tell us with Aerotech here? Like what? Because I was reading over everything I was sent, and I was like, oh, this seems pretty interesting. Good for everyone who listens to this. Can we get what exactly is going on in that story?
Yeah. No, so did you guys get the pre-release PDFs? Did you get to read the whole thing?
I didn't get to read the whole thing because unfortunately, I just don't have as much time as I want.
I get it. No worries.
Well, if you would have sent them to me, I would have got paid to do it. I would have read them at work.
God, you know what? I should have just done that. James is really good at doing it.
So the way we're positioning this one is it's kind of like The Office or Silicon Valley, but where the product that they're making is a sex robot. And awesome. So it's meant to be, really kind of an office comedy, and it is an office comedy, and really, happy with and proud of the way that a lot of the humor came out. But it also, for me, I work in technology like a lot of people do. And, I started to think like, what would it be like if you were actually making a sex robot? Like, in terms of how would you debug the sex robot? How would you, what kind of meetings would you
How
have?
would you tell your friends what you do for a living?
How would you tell your friends what you do? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Just think about the engineering challenges on top of the artificial intelligence challenges on top of, whatever else.
Think about the PR challenges.
The PR challenges.
Oh
and
my God. The
liability. What happens if the robot,
rips your ding dong
somebody?
off. Yeah, it makes me. It's Big Bang Theory status when he has the robot grab his junk. I don't know if you guys have watched Big Bang Theory, but yeah, there's an episode where his robot, he programs it to help him.
Yeah,
doesn't work out.
Doesn't everyone have one of those? Why am I the only one?
My God, that's such a cool concept. I love that idea a lot.
So it starts out with that kind of a scene, like it's a QA suite, and it starts like what seems to be in the bedroom, but then there's people calling in from the booth, and
awesome.
People making jokes at his expense because the robot is not stopping, and he's freaking out, and people are giving him shit. He also works in the mailroom, so he's kind of like the lowest paid employee at that firm.
Sounds like a solid Paramount Plus sitcom. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it's definitely like HBO Maxy kind of like, after hours, really funny, but not afraid to be R-rated. But we didn't draw it. I didn't draw, but Jeff and I, when we were conceiving it, we didn't want it to read as, like softcore. We wanted it to be a lot left to the imagination. So it really, it kind of skirts that line between hinting at a lot of stuff, showing something, but not being, flat out
overly in your face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we wanted the robot to be really kind of weird and unlifelike, like he's trying to push her off her at one point and her face bends in a weird way because it's not really skin. And when she gets shut down, she kind of collapses in an angle where her, it's not a human, you couldn't bend your body into that position. So we like the idea of it being kind of weird and a little
awkward.
Scary. Yeah, awkward.
Definitely and scary. Awkward. Definitely
and scary. Right, because you've got this full-blown machine operating on you, which you're most vulnerable.
Yeah, got it.
So that's where we're going with all that.
Sounds awesome.
And I think this issue turned out really well. It was just a good mix between Jeff and I. And, we were talking about, we set this about, what we were saying was 5 minutes in the future. So, some of the technology we don't have today, but, it's not crazy in the future, and everything is very recognizable.
On its way,
the art style. Likely. Say again.
On its way, most likely, like in the works, or will be here at some point.
I wonder. And
if you can think of it, it's likely to happen. I mean, let's just be honest.
You remember Woody Allen's Orgasmatron from Sleeper? I'm really dating myself there. It's like it's just a cylinder that he steps in and the door closed. He comes out with a crazy smile on his face. Yes. You have no idea what happens inside.
That's a leave it to the imagination kind of thing, like you're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. But this is definitely a little more real. So I don't know. We'll get Elon Musk on that, assuming he gets his money back from Twitter.
Yeah, I just want to hang out with that guy for like 5 minutes. That's
44 billion.
It'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. That 44 billion.
Yeah. He'd probably be the one to warn you about anything to do with a sex robot.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
It's like, no, you don't want to do that. There's a reason.
His AI shit hasn't come out, the neuro shit, because he wants to be the last one to fuck up. Obviously, I mean, that's just my thought on it. I don't know. I feel like
with the self-driving cars, it's interesting and it's close, but when you start thinking about it's killing people when it makes a mistake,
at the same time, humans are killing more humans than they are. So
I mean,
if you look at percentages and statistics, we're still way more deadly behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's funny. In AI, we talk about human level performance, right? Can you achieve
Yep.
human level performance? So human level performance in driving is probably not that high, right? Because people make a lot of mistakes behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Human level performance in the bedroom, I'll leave that up to your imagination.
And that's what we're talking about with this comic.
And that's what makes it funny. It's like, it's not just, oh, there's this magical sex robot that works and is perfect and I'm going to fall in love with it. It's not that kind of story. It's like, holy shit, how do we make this thing work? And what happens when it doesn't, and what if the engineers are, a bunch of wankers who aren't really that good at what they do,
Oh God.
Dirty sex.
And the managers are out to lunch and assholes, and so it's all that kind of stuff. It definitely, that's where the Office comedy comes in. So it's that kind of mix between two things.
The second you said The Office, I was sold.
Yeah.
Office, Office and sex
the whole
robot,
description, I'm sold.
like those words belong in the same sentence. I'm just saying.
What was their business in The Office? Does anyone know? I actually don't know. Does anyone know what they did? I think
They
it's
just
always kept
dealt with documents. Like it was always paper work, like printing and scanning and faxing. And
if I remember for The Office, I think they just sold paper.
Yeah, it had to do. It was always
like
paper.
Company.
Whatever they did was paper related. Like it was it.
Yeah.
Like the worst.
Now that I think about it, I think that's all they did.
Paper. It was a show based on paper. You have sex robots, so I feel like I would watch that.
One of them is going to be more entertaining. Yeah. Excuse me.
Nobody's
have to step into the other room and test product. So,
sex robots are way
no,
more
the whole
than paper. Just
the
gotta
whole
get Steve
description
Carell for
hilarious.
the TV spinoff of your comic, and we're good.
Yeah, you get him on the phone, and that'll be awesome.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
I wish it was that simple.
I know everyone's like, have you ever considered like putting this on TV? Yeah, you want to make the phone call? Yeah, it's really just a question of whether I decide to do it or not. It's very easy to do.
Well, I mean, that's why I said Paramount Plus, because I mean, they straight up no lubed it right into the hardcore Halo fans assholes with the Halo show. I love it, and I'm a hardcore Halo fan. Like I know it. Like I know all of it. I mean, audiobooks, the side stories, all of it. That's me. Here. And I loved that show. I loved that it was a different take. Paramount Plus had the balls to do it, to take it over after it got scrapped. I don't know how many times. So I feel like they would definitely
quite a bit
do your comic show stuff.
That's the thing. You want someone who adapts something or takes something into a new medium to be kind of fearless and take it and do something with it. Like the worst thing is if it's kind of milquetoast and they're trying to appease the fans, but they don't have any new ideas and it just kind of is flat, I would much rather see someone take it and run with it and, good, bad, or ugly, at least it's something interesting.
Exactly. You should say that to the entire Halo fan base. I should quote you. When I go back to edit the little bit I have to of this, I'm quoting that. And I'm going to try and make you
don't get me in trouble with the Halo fan base.
Fuck the
he's
Halo
He's going to open up a can of worms.
Oh, it's a huge can.
James,
making a TV show, honestly, with it being like an Office style with the concept, hear me out. Just hear me out. Let's get a hold of Taika Waititi and tell him, like, hey, we have a great idea for you. You seem to have fun doing things like this, and listen to this concept. I think you'd have a lot of fun with this.
That's what it takes, is someone who's got like the vision to see it.
And the balls.
And the balls to do it. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I already get stuff on Facebook like, you fucking perv. There's always people out there. That's the problem with the internet, right? It's
you'll never get rid of it.
You'll never get rid of it. But yeah, so
never
you gotta have a thick skin to put something out like this out there.
See, and that's, I think, honestly, if we were to get rid of the let's just say that thick-skinned. You don't necessarily have to be thick-skinned to deal with social media. You just have to be an asshole right back. Like you have to take take what you're reading and realize how fucking hilarious it is. Like a meme I saw a friend post on Twitter. This guy's arm was overly big. Whatever issue it is, medical issue that causes it. You know, there was a Pornhub masturbation meme made from it, even though his shirt said arm wrestling champion something, something, something.
Sure.
Well, they post this meme that they obviously didn't make, and then the first comments like, well, it's called this, and you shouldn't be poking fun at it, and this and that, and, you know, high horsing it. It's like, dude, anything that can be a meme will be a meme. Yeah. Like, there's nothing... There's
the internet
nothing
has no
stopping
sense of boundary.
No. And they reposted it from another place they got it. And we all just had a laugh at his expense and moved on, which is what you have to do in everything else. I mean, yeah, tough skin, that makes sense, but it's way better when you can just kind of throw the real world back in their face, and then they can fuck off. And you can block them.
The best defense is a good offense.
Yes.
This is true.
100%. And that's why I love Wilmy so much. He's that guy.
Wilmy.
Instantly.
I knew who you were talking about immediately. I'm like, oh no, I know who posted.
Oh, he's not the one that posted it.
No, I know the one.
Believe it or
really?
Not. No, it didn't come from
I actually do find that surprising. He's always the one to make those go-tos.
Oh, dude, he has shit way worse than that. You know that. That's like
yeah, I do. I've stolen a few to send to people, and then they're like, "What is wrong with you?" It's like, that's not me. It's this guy I know. He's always
blame
got
it on
coming.
Wilmy. Oh,
I'm not the one who's not writing that. It's this guy. I just borrow it. So...
He'd be a fan of what you're writing for sure.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is like right in his wheelhouse too.
Like we had the Kickstarter. We actually had 189 backers on the Kickstarter, which is pretty awesome. But you know, now I got to get it on the website. I'm not doing digital distribution web comics yet, just because there's so many things I can do at once. But yeah, I really want to get this out into people's hands. So
I may or may not be able to help you if you want some assistance.
I would love some assistance.
I won't even charge you a fucking thing. You just we'll exchange contact info, and I will do whatever I can to help. How's that?
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Look at that. Making friends.
Making friends.
I love friends.
Networking.
Especially office sex robot friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, like your ideas, like all of it sounds great. Jared gave me this much. I'll just read it.
I was trying to be a little more brief. I'm just like, let him have a little bit of free roam with what he decides to ask.
Hey,
here.
You want to help me out with this? Hold on, we're gonna find it. Join. I'm gonna double check the day of the week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. The comic creator interview. What's your schedule like this week? NSFW robot sex toy or sex robot. Yeah. That was the context.
Wow. And you still came.
I'm here.
He
said
he's still
he said not safe work comic and sex robot, and I was in. I'm here. Yeah. Plus I used to do a interview show semi regularly. So
you did.
I had to be here.
I was on it for a little bit. So I figured if there was anybody who could help me crank this out, you were the one I'd have to go to.
Sounds terrible, by the way.
In the context,
awful.
James.
In the context,
look at what we're talking about.
That's
in the
true.
context, it's fine.
That was what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It was great what you just said. Fantastic. Oh,
I'm glad we got there.
I really do hope people like it for the characters and are like compelled by it and come back for dramatic because for dramatic interest, because actually, as Jeff and I are talking about it, it's like we don't want to become repetitive, and you can only do so many variations on the sex robot joke, right? Before it's just like a bit with a sex robot, and there's definitely ways we're going to be escalating that and twisting that a little bit to make it more fun and interesting.
And you can rabbit trail. It doesn't have to directly relate to the robot. You could start you could start picking on different human aspects, but applying it to the robot. Like there's a lot of tangible means to keep that joke going while tying it to human aspects. Like, does that make sense? Am I saying that right? Yeah. Like you can twist things all you want. All it has to do is be somewhat relatable and catch someone's mind. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, I get that. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a lot of what, and it can be like the stupidest shit that makes someone scratch their head. I mean, that's what The Office was. A lot of the time, it was very dry or dull humor that would like go over your head right out of the gate, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's so stupid! It's fucking hilarious." That kind of thing. Yeah. I think you have a lot of avenues you can explore with it. I don't think you'll run out of material as fast as you think you do if you start. I
wouldn't think so either.
Easing yourself out of the box. Don't jump out of it, but ease out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And keep the characters really interesting and developing. But yeah, no, what I think is really interesting, I mean, human sexuality is so weird, right?
Oh, yes.
Like, there's just endless avenues of weirdness. So imagine, like, you're going to create a robot model for someone with a foot fetish, right? I mean, that's totally different programming, right? So, people have their own little obsessions and desires, and imagine trying to create, the ideas we have. One of the things we've talked about is, levels of aggression, right? Where you can set the level of aggression on the robot, because how rough do you like it, right? Of course, that
Ninja robot really just quickly. Knocking people out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's endless varieties and weird sexual behaviors that we can have a lot of fun with. The foot fetish robot.
Urban Dictionary could be your best friend for this.
Yeah, exactly.
God, it could.
I'm just, dude, there's some situations in the Urban Dictionary that are like
you never find yourself in.
Oh my god, you never even think of, and they're
somebody who's into it.
There is.
They
exist for a reason. Yes.
Yeah.
The community, exactly.
Yeah, I shouldn't use the word behind them, but yes, with a community.
No. It's fine.
Behind it, just torquing it or whatever the fuck words Jared used earlier made it sound real weird.
Yeah, but we hope to keep it fresh and interesting, if nothing else, and make the characters people you care about and want to come back for.
So, how are you going to do a crossover between the two comics? That's my question.
Yeah, people ask me about that.
You've thought about it.
Cinematic universe. I have no idea. For right now, well. So
what if someone's into vampires?
Yeah, boom. That's true.
Well.
Woodstake has got the natural sequel, which is Woodstake 99. Yeah. So, and I've already sketched that out. And it's funny, like you think about bringing a vampire into Woodstock 69, which was peace and love, where, there's a lot of contrast. You bring a vampire into Woodstock 99 and no one noticed, right? Because that was like crazy Woodstock.
It just blends right into everyone.
Just blends right in, right? Nobody would blink twice, right?
The fucking Walking Green Day album.
So that's got to
be. I'm sorry. Maybe that's what I would go with.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait. The thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is they had like 60 years, 70 years of material to draw on.
Holy shit!
And I think superheroes are easier to bring together than sex robots and vampires, but it can be done.
It can be.
Yeah.
Somebody has a vampire fetish. Just saying.
A lot of people.
A lot of people have vampire.
Yeah. I mean, there's such a crossover between. Not a crossover, but there's such a sexual vibe at the core of vampire lore, right? I mean, this idea of being consumed by someone, and there's always that.
That's one of the biggest things with vampires, actually. That's like one of their biggest appeals. Like the sexuality with vampires. And they
giving
just
into a vampire and losing yourself,
admit
or
it.
whatever. I mean, that whole Twilight series and that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, sexuality and vampires are, they've gone
They
together
go hand
since
in
the
hand.
beginning. Yeah. I don't know where the
And you
robot comes in.
can, when it comes to vampires, there's even depending on who decides to do the vampire story, there's even things with like how they feed on people that could even lead into sexual things for them.
Yeah.
Because there's been plenty of stories of that. The way that they do it is that they basically induce you into your own fantasy, and that's how they feed on people, and so on and so forth. So there's many. I agree. There are many avenues that you could take that.
Yeah, I've always thought that was like, in a lot of these, myths, for lack of a better word, but cultural stories, there's always some really important nugget of truth that that affects our human nature, which is why we keep coming back to the vampire story. I mean, we'll be spinning vampire stories out 500 years from now, because there's something just kind of core to our nature in it.
Well, it makes you wonder where it started. What
it makes
started
you what?
it? Where did it start?
Yeah.
Who started it? Why? Because fiction.
Well,
typically, if you're maybe not so much now, but fiction typically has got some kind of root in history somewhere with some truth, and then is brought forward and expanded, like a web.
of course, as the years go on, there's things that are added or taken away that are interpreted differently, and so forth. You get some other version of something.
I think it was like an Eastern European kind of folk tale, and I think it did come out of that whole area of, Hungary and wherever. I don't know where Transylvania is in modern day. I should where it is in the modern map, but it's like it's Hungary or Romania. I think it's Romania,
somewhere around there. Yeah,
that area.
I think these are myths that started in that area and evolved over time. But yeah, I think it would be fascinating to get a real history of the vampire legend.
Yeah, vampires and sex robots, man. Yeah, he sold before the show even started.
I'm sold on both these stories. Like, I honestly am, because like the vampire Woodstock it's such a fun concept to try to think about. Of just how many people would have been at an event like that, and the possibilities of things that happen. And then on the other hand of it, we have this like comedy / horror style, like Office meets can we make a sex robot, or will things go horribly wrong? Find out. Like, these are both just fun ideas.
Yeah, that's like I really hope so, because I've been sitting on these ideas for a while, and I'm hoping what's going to distinguish my comics going forward is that if you pick up an SHP comic, you're going to get a story that's interesting, unique, and a little
unique and interesting.
Pushes some boundaries, is not your typical necessarily your typical comic book. That there's something to the stories that's a little more compelling or a little more twisted or whatever it happens to be. So that's what I'm hoping.
You got some unique shit going on, and that's hard to do now. That's really hard to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a potential of X amount of people that have had a similar idea or concept, but they'll never bring it to fruition like you have.
Yeah.
Does that make, and that's more rare now than it's ever been. Like, the uniqueness.
It's funny because the means of getting it out there are easier, right? With computers and everything, it's cheaper. You couldn't do an indie comic in the 90s without dealing with an indie comic company and publishing costs and printing and distribution deals. And
now you can self-publish and everything else.
You can self-publish, and it's so I would hope there would be more, but who knows?
That is something with being in the indie comic realm. My father, he writes, he does indie horror, and he has a novel and a novella. We've interviewed him. We've had him on the show because he's my dad. So it's like, Dad, you want to come on? Like, yeah, we'll promote your book. Sure, just get on the fucking show. Like, stop questioning me. So, but he runs into that same issue with I remember when he first started doing his own publishing with his works was very much like, who do I go to get published? Who can I trust to get things published? Which I do have the question with, you had talked about trying to do more like a physical copy, get it in people's hands. How difficult is it as far as finding a way to distribute it? Because I know, talking with him, as far as when he was trying to get his novel out, that was like I think like a year-long process of just figuring out how many and where he was going to do it.
Yeah, it's hard. And I'm at the beginning of this process. And that's why Kickstarter is such a godsend, right? Because if you look at the margins, right? So there are about, I don't know, 25 to 3,000 independent comic book companies or stores in the country. You know, when there used to be one distributor, Diamond, that sort of owned everything. And now there are getting to be more distributors. So, you know, if you get a deal with a distributor, you know, that's possible. But, you know, there's limited shelf space in these comic book stores, and you've got the Marvel rack and the DC rack, and you've got the Image rack. And so, I mean, right now I've been doing deals with local comic book shops just because they like to promote local creators. I sign copies, I meet local readers, and that's all fun. It's great fun. But there's not a lot of money in it, obviously, you know, and the margins are small. I mean, it costs me, you know, $3 to $4 to print a book, and Image sells their books, or DC and Marvel, so they sell their books for $3, right? Because they're printing 100,000 copies and they're getting their print costs way down. I can't compete with that. Bulk, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I already have a connection. I think I might introduce you with, that has published smaller. I mean, he's gaining traction.
Yeah.
But I think I might be able to help you at least get some info on that front, if you'd like.
That would be great.
I think I could probably do that.
I mean, the other issue is it's just time, right?
It's true.
Everything.
Everything's consuming. And what I want to do is I want to keep writing and get these stories out, right? If I'm spending all of my time trying to get things in bookstores or comic book stores and not writing, like, right, you know, I've already got, you know, issue 3s that are due, and I've got to find time to work on them. I got a day job too, right? So it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Kickstarter is such a godsend, right? I can make more in a Kickstarter campaign. Thank you to everyone who gives money to comic book creators on Kickstarter, than I could spending a year of trying to set up distribution deals. And so, you know, wow, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of shit, like, you've already got yourself like in the right position to deal with what you're dealing with, because you're full-blown independent right now. And then all the other stuff just kind of comes along as it comes along. Like, does that make sense? Like, you're not overly concerned or worried about, like you said, distribution and knowing this person or knowing this distribution company. Like, your focus isn't there. Your focus is with your fans, essentially, your community, the people that have backed you, and giving them what they have. Like, you're independent, completely independent right now, like, on your own. It's a lot of work.
It is, but I want to focus the work on content creation, because content is king.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So when I have the first trade paperback, the first 6 issues, and a complete wood stake, you know, then I'm going to have a lot more opportunities for distribution, right? So the goal is to not spend too much time and too much money chasing things that aren't going to develop content, right? And that's why Kickstarter is great. It gives me the time to focus on developing content. It's funny, even with the comic book stores, like, I got Woodstake 1 in the comic book store locally. They went through 20 copies, which was amazing. But he's like, everyone keeps asking for issue 2, because they're used to getting a new issue every month. I'm like, I can't do an issue every month. You know, I'm doing an issue every 3 months.
Man.
So yeah, so they gotta wait, and they don't want to wait, and they're not used to waiting. That's not their thing, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of mismatch between what they expect in a comic book store and what you can deliver in terms of price, in terms of frequency, in terms of whatever. But if the content's good, you know, if you build it, they will come, hopefully.
It's like any form of content, really. Like, any format, if it's good enough, they will wait. They will be there when you release something new. And I feel like the world's kind of fucked up in that sense, where they're just constantly pumping whatever the fuck they can out, when
And it's
there's
not
people like
always the
you.
greatest.
No, it's not. You're I mean, this is your baby. This is you are cultivating the ground and planting the seeds and moving to the next row. Like, you're not just throwing shit out there trying to throw something together to appease everybody. You're giving them a part of you, essentially. You're working on it from your soul, and that's what you're handing to people. You're not going to just pump some bullshit out just to make people happy. You're going to do it right because you're passionate about it. The people that enjoy it are also passionate about it, so they're going to appreciate it when they do get it, when it happens. It sucks that you can't. We all wish we could hit fast forward like the movie Click and have it all happen, but
yeah, you know,
at the same time, people lose sense of caring about the content they're pumping out.
Yeah. That's all I care about. Honestly, when I go to bed at night, what makes me happy is I'm like, issue 2 of Woodstake is coming out really well. Someone said to me, you know, like, the thing I like about a comic book series is where each issue gets a little better, right? And so Philippe's a young artist, like, we're working on making the art better. We looked at the first issue and said, we can improve this, we can improve that. The story's coming together. So yeah, I hope this is the comic book that's worth 3 months of the waiting for, right? Because and the other thing is, with these first issues, it's hard to take somebody too far in a first issue. I think it's going to take like 3 issues before you're like, now I know what this is, and now this is really cool. This is something different than what I've read before. Because you can read the first issue and be like, yeah, it's a Vampire Woodstock, kind of interesting, but it's just so much you can do in 28 pages. But by the third issue,
right?
Yeah, and by the third issue, I want you hooked, and then you'll be like, I'll wait 3 months because this is awesome. I hope.
You know, and I think that
Wish
not
everybody
only in
like that does any
kind of most definitely, and not even just like the comic writers in this aspect, but even in like a music aspect too. Like a lot of the bands that I still listen to here are very much like, they don't put albums out consistently. It is very much, you might have to wait 4 or 5 years before another album comes out, but it's because it's something that they're passionate about. They're taking the time to make something that everyone would want to hear. So I'm very much appreciative of that, where I'm not going to just make it to make it. I want to make sure that this is something I can be proud of when it comes out and say, like, I did this and people enjoy it because I took my time on it.
Yeah. And, you know, the music industry's changed too, because in the old days, like, the record labels were forcing you to put out a record every year and go on tour every year because that was the fan base, right? But now with all the options, you can be like, no, I don't need a record label, and I'm not going to produce an album. And what's an album these days? Like, you know, it's not something you physically buy and listen to all those songs.
Not really, not anymore.
I'm very album focused because I grew up in that era. But
that's fair.
But I think the album is kind of losing its meaning in a way, because you can put 50 songs together, or 5 songs together, or 2 songs together. It doesn't matter. I mean, it used to be 10 songs on an album, 2 songs on an LP, or on a 45. You know, and that was your option. But now your options are whatever you want.
Oh no, it most definitely, like, because I mean, it really has changed in that aspect. Because now a band can put out, they can have 1 song done for an entire album that's not even coming for maybe a year, and they can put that 1 song out and be like, okay, we've done our quota for this year. And it's like, man, like, things really have changed. Like, you can kind of just do whatever you want. And even if you don't want to make a new album, they can just do some kind of collection with like 4 songs off 4 albums or whatever. So no, man, everything really has changed in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of shocking how much it's changed and how quickly it's changed.
So quickly. So no, I'm very on board with all the comic ideas, because I really only knew about the Aerotech there, and that one caught my attention enough where I was like, no, that's an interesting enough concept. Like, I kind of want to know more about this. And now hearing that there's also Woodstake, and it's like, no. I need to get these, because this is something that's up my alley. It's not it's not your everyday superhero thing, and it's not an everyday typical horror kind of thing, because it's not. Oh God, what are the words I'm trying to look for there? It's not your average story. It's something that's very out of the box and unique. So I'm very much on board with it to look in. To really, like, if there anything else you do at this point, I think I'd be on board for, because so far, they've really.
Well, I will shoot you the physical copies of the first two and Aerotech when it comes out, because I'm always happy to send digital copies, but I like having a comic book in my hand,
I just got like the Ronin collection for Ninja Turtles there, because I wanted, as much as I knew it had been coming out, I was like, no, I want to get like the physical thing. I don't want to go online and read it. I want to be able to actually look through pages.
Yeah. But hey, the kids are different.
It's a sad fact, I think, at some points. Just looking at some of the younger kids, it's like, man, there's some things that'll just be lost on you forever, and it's kind of sad that you'll never be able to experience some of the things.
Yeah, but that's like we're like the old men who say that, because they're going to experience they're going to experience things we never experienced. So the things that we think that they're missing that we loved as kids, and so the world turns, right? It's like
the world keeps turning.
Yeah, so they're going to have all kinds of stuff that we couldn't appreciate, and then their kids are going to thumb their nose at them, So
it's a never-ending cycle.
It's a never-ending cycle. Yeah, whatever your parents did sucks, and you got to define your generation.
So for rounding out everything here, I would just like to throw this into the fan here. If there was a concept of an idea, was there anything in specific that you feel you'd want to make a comic about? If someone gave you unlimited budget, they're like, just go nuts, whatever you want to do.
I have like 9 other stories teed up.
Oh God.
So, I've been going back and forth on, and I don't want to really go into them because I think they're kind of good ideas, and I want anyone to do them before I get to it. But, it's like, I've been thinking I want to start a 4th one, but I don't want to stretch myself too thin, right? So it's like, I'm already wicked busy, trying to keep these 3 going.
That's fair.
And I want, it's hard because I want to move on some other ideas. I have some other ideas I'm really happy with, but what I need to do, I really feel like, is get to like issue 2 or 3 with these first 3 comics, and see if I can find, some loyal readers who like my stuff, and at that point, then maybe I can start branching out, bringing a few more in.
That's a very fair and valid answer. Especially to know you have as many ideas as you do have. Completely understand how it would be like, no, there's not one idea. I can understand. There's a whole chest behind me that's just full of things that, like, I just do not have time to open right now.
I've been thinking about this shit for like 25 years,
That's fair. James, anything you wanna add in here?
I actually want to ask, where are you on social media? Like, what do you have going on there?
I am SHP Comics everywhere. So, website is www.shp Comics, Facebook page SHP Comics, Instagram SHP Comics, Twitter, Reddit. I have a YouTube channel, which is a little neglected, but I had ideas of doing more stuff on the YouTube channel, but it's just too much. So, those are the major channels. Then I have a link tree where I post all the, like this will go up on the link tree, any kind of, reviews or press or anything like that we get. Those are the main things. SHP Comics.
I need to find you on Twitter ASAP.
Yes, please. My Twitter following is very small and pathetic. It's only like 30 followers.
Doesn't have to be.
We'll get that changed around real quick.
I haven't quite found the in on Twitter. Like I doing pretty well, and like I have 1,000 followers on
SHP
Instagram.
Comics.
SHP _ on Twitter. Somebody had SHP Comics. That's the one that's different.
Of course they
Somebody
did.
always has the name. You always have to do like an underscore. Like,
I know that was the one underscore. I'm like, come on, I'm clean.
Boom,
across the board.
33 followers. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when Anthony did CLT Sandwich, like we started up that show, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'll make a Twitter for it." Like he went in to put it in, and somebody had that name, and he's like, "Who the hell's taking this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's taking this?" And it's just some dude hadn't posted in like 10 years. He posted maybe 2 things about a sandwich, and he's like, "I hate you. I had to put an underscore for no reason." I think he messaged that guy 3 times to try to get him to like, "Hey, give me the name. You haven't used it in 10 years. Just give it to me."
Did he get a response or just radio silence?
No,
Never responded.
Yeah.
never responded.
You wonder if he's still around.
I
I mean, your digital footprint long out, I mean, it's funny because the generations are coming up and we haven't really got there yet, but it's going to be weird because we're all going to have these digital presences that are going to outlive us.
God. Yep.
I hadn't
And
even
because
thought
of,
about that.
of SEO, it'll always be there somewhere.
Oh,
It might be buried by the time we're dead and gone, but it'll be there. If someone digs deep enough,
Man,
your digital
my
footprint
grandkids are going to
is
have
forever.
quite the things to look at.
Ooh.
I want to know about Great Grandpa. Well, he ran this show. I don't know. It's not around anymore, but you're going to learn today.
You wonder if it'll be around. I mean, can we just keep accumulating digital information infinitely? I mean, or will there be a purge or stuff at a certain point? Like everything from 1990 back is gone,
That's something I have thought about before. Yeah.
All right. So without going too deeply into that, we'll just say that compression techniques are getting fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like absolutely nuts. And the code always changes, and the way the internet's accessed is always changing. So at some point we'll be writing data to DNA strands that don't belong to anything that's living. So, I mean, we're already doing that, and that's a lot of information in one little tiny piece of. It's nuts. We'll always be here.
So your show will be around. It'll be on DNA, but it'll be around.
It'll be there somewhere.
Well,
in the void.
in the void, right where we belong, the nostalgic void that everyone just avoids because God knows you don't want to go down it. So.
Yeah.
So one last question I have, just overall, just because we cover many things. We're doing the Jackass movies right now, finishing that out, and I think next month Mike has us set up with like random superhero things that technically aren't superhero things. It's a whole thing that he's come up with. But with that, in the basis of nostalgia, what would you say was your favorite cartoon growing up as a child? Like that go-to, had to watch it, or if it was on, you were down watching it.
Yeah, so I was that generation of Saturday morning kids where we would just watch like Hanna-Barbera, and Snaggle
5 hours worth of cartoon.
Yeah, all that, the banana splits and all that stuff. But yeah, I got you there. Goober and the Ghost Chasers. I mean, I could Ricochet Rabbit. I could just keep going, but with the nonsense. But no, for me, the Warner Brothers, the Bugs Bunny, it never got better. It will never get better. They're still the greatest cartoons ever made. I watch them with my kids all the time. So I was lucky enough.
Man.
They're so classic and they're so great. So yeah, that was it for me. Was Bugs Bunny, and those were just
the best part about those cartoons is that like they hold up. They'll never not hold up.
They'll never not hold up. Yeah. Exactly.
They're like go back. You can go back and you can see the difference in animation, obviously, and its progression over the years, but still same characters, still the same show.
Yeah.
Same character still holds for what it is. Like, I agree.
Yeah. I agree. I watch them with my kids and they just laugh their butts off. They love it.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
That kind of comedy won't die. Not
Yeah.
It's
It's like silent films, right?
because it's
Charlie
simple.
Chaplin, the
Yes.
Buster Keaton. It's always going to be funny. Because it's so it hooks into
it's
something so
different too. It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But it's so simple to the fact to a point where like in your brain it just hits. It doesn't make your brain overthink. It just hits that. It hits you just right that no matter what, it's going to make you laugh because it's not
Yeah.
making you think. It's not making you really have to know what's going on. You can just accept it, watch it, turn your brain off, funny, happy. Like they're simple enough for every age. Anyone can enjoy.
There's
it. I think
nothing
that's
to
why
look
they keep holding
into.
up.
Or
Yeah.
dig into.
Exactly.
Like,
They're just trying to be funny and they do it.
You don't have to understand some random event that happened, or like you don't have to relate it to anything other than it's fucking funny. That's it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Like basic human
things.
humor.
Elmer Fudd wants to shoot Bugs Bunny.
Exactly.
And he gets made a fool of. And that's all you need to know. Over and over and over again.
Repeatedly.
So everyone, if you would please, because this man's saying he's only got 33 followers with
I am
the social
pathetic on
media.
Twitter.
Like,
Twitter.
go find this man, hunt him down on Twitter at the SHP _comics because
Underscore.
this man needs more people. Because I mean, for God's sake, if you can't support the indie comic writers, where do you think all the people that you look to now with those big names and the big Marvel and DC?
I say, where
did
think
they all start? They all started as an indie person that everyone looked over, and at least this guy's got out of the box ideas. It's not your everyday thing. It's not just a new superhero that's trying to make money off something that's already there. These are original ideas. Give the man credit. Go find him on social media. Come on.
Yeah, I would say that's where the big shit comes from too.
Yeah,
is a solid foundation of something out of the box that it's unique. That's what it takes. You have to be unique. Not always. I mean, there's shit biscuits out there that don't give two fucks. But well, let's be real here. Like the second someone that matters to these zombies catches wind of something unique like what you're doing, is the second it's still unique, but it's the second it's no longer under the radar and oops, oh shit, now I have to 24 fucking 7 for the rest of my life. That's what you're kidding. Like that's how it goes, right?
You know,
well, you get to brag and say I supported him on Kickstarter before anyone knew who he was.
Yeah, I interviewed him. We had 30 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Put that on my resume.
I've had that moment with YouTubers that I found to enjoy when they were really small, and then they get really big for no reason, and I'm like, I like them before everyone else, and now I feel like I'm that guy. This is not fair.
Yeah, you know that Jacksepticeye dude on YouTube, right? Everybody knows who that is, correct? Yeah. I was following him at like 600 subscribers.
But that's how I
that
felt
was
with
a
Meat
fun
Canyon
journey
when I
to
found
watch.
him. Like he only had like 50.
Probably the funnest journey I've ever watched was that. I will say that. You could be that easily.
Jackass.
Johnny Knoxville.
Oh God, yeah.
Johnny Knoxville on MTV, mailing tapes into MTV. Talk about out of the box.
Holy shit. That dude's a fucking
out of the box is one way to put it.
I don't think I've ever laughed as hard as I've laughed watching Jackass. And my wife looks at me
I
like
still haven't watched the new one.
Yeah. I haven't watched the new one either. I need to watch the new one.
Yeah, it
was a great interview.
See,
with
this is why
on the New York Times. New York Times did like a 3-page interview with Wee Man.
Anyway, no shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Great interview.
Damn.
He's a badass. Man.
He is.
He really is.
Steve-O. Steve-O's my favorite.
Yeah.
Probably because back in like up until like my mid-20s, everybody's like, you look familiar. You look like Steve-O. And everybody just called me Steve-O. They're like, dude, get the tattoo on your back.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no, I get that. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'm like, no, not
exactly.
doing it.
Exactly with your wife there, like Mike and Sven on the show, that they had never seen them. So for me and Anthony, it's been fun to just like have these playing and watching them like get like their cringe moments are like, oh, why do you guys enjoy this? And where they're just like, man, we have been watching these when they were coming out. This is funny. We don't know what's wrong with you.
You know what came before Jackass? Anybody?
I do not.
CKY. Look it up.
Okay.
I
Okay.
will.
Look
Is that
up
Johnny Knoxville or
CKY.
is that something else?
It's pre Johnny.
Pre Johnny Knoxville.
It's Bam and Chris and all
Yeah,
those
because
guys.
they had
we were
Big
doing
Brother
the same
magazine.
shit at the same time, and we come across a VHS called CKY. One of our friends did, and we watched it. And we're like, "Oh my fuck, that's us!" Like, because I
Wow.
would just take my parents' video camera and go record us doing stupid shit. Like, I'd go do backflips off of buildings into snowdrifts, or we'd jump off a roof into the top of a trash can. Really stupid shit. And we hurt ourselves all the time. But then we saw this tape, and we're like, "Oh my god." Like we instantly made that connection because we were doing the same thing. We just didn't have any way to put it out there at the time. YouTube didn't exist,
And now
cell phones,
everyone
they could
can.
do everything. Yeah, but yeah, it started CKY, and then welcome to Jackass. There it went. Go look it up.
I will.
You won't regret it. It's a good time.
Until he does. No, he won't. He won't. James
I will.
won't do that.
So
I love Jackass.
Oh, it's so good. You'll love CKY as well. It's like I said, it's more or less it's like the Jackass prequel. Like that's
fair.
It's very rough around the edges because they filmed, did all their own shit. There was zero production, anything. It was them behind a camera and then them editing it and putting it on to tape. Like, it's good. It's worth it. I promise.
So, Mr. James,
What's up?
a Husky Poo, where can they find you?
Can find me in all the places at ACS_Husk. I am now, I guess, officially, kind of officially, more or less. I go to a meeting every week. I'm supposed to be.
Meeting every week.
I talk to people every week. Go check out Game On Daily everywhere. And
okay, so, I thought I'd seen something about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't made any like really official announcement because
official announcements or placements.
I'm going to be more background than foreground, but I will be part of that growing monstrosity moving forward. It's hilarious.
You're just all over the place, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Keep getting pulled into all these different groups of people.
Yeah. This one's serious, I guess. It would be the best way to describe it. So that's why I wanted to be part of it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Apparently he's moving on up in the world too. Like, Jesus. So anyway,
I'm trying to.
You can find him on all those on social media. For us, it's it's all the same. If you listen to the show, then but hey, at Oddcast and Twitter, you got oddcastmedia@gmail.com, and you've got Oddcast Network anywhere. The Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter. You'll find us. Just look for the goofy pictures. You'll know it's us. And Mr. Shawn Hainsworth here. You can find him at SHP Comics, unless it's Twitter. Then you got to use the underscore because somebody's always got to steal the names, and you got to add the underscore. Take
the underscore is better. It's
fact.
better with that, by the way, Shawn. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
right out of the gate. Yeah.
You're only saying that because you have one.
No, I didn't have to. I didn't have to have an underscore, but I put one in there.
I just blame you. It's easy. It's easier to do that. And Mr. Hainsworth, is there anything you would like to say to everyone to close out the show? Any message or inspiration, anything of that nature?
No, just thanks for having me on. And yeah, if you can go support indie comics on Kickstarter or wherever you can, you know, support indie comics. There's a lot of cool people out there doing some cool shit, and you can make a difference.
Hey, you know what? Let's not end with Jared's. Say I love you, Jared, but I'm taking this.
Well, I was also going to say for Fiber links, I will be posting things in all the details. You can go check out how to support Mr. Hainsworth here, and make sure that we get things on track.
We need all of the links. I also need all of them too, because I'm gonna.
Oh, of course.
I need to look at. I need to pick your shit apart. I'm sorry, that's just what I do. I seriously, I love every concept you have, so I'm gonna give you what information I can to help.
Awesome.
Kind of,
Awesome.
at least streamline some of the shit that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Speed things up as best we can. But what I want to end on is like, what if you had to convince people that they had a lot to look forward to? Like, what do they have to look forward to? What is? Give us a brief shot into the future, and give everybody like a goal. Like, give us your goal and a glimpse into the Shawn's multiverse of madness.
So goal would be 3 Kickstarters a year and able to keep putting out comic books without tapping my savings, because they're limited. But you know, I hope to have Woodstake and The Killing Machine, which is the sci-fi, done trade paperbacks by the end of next year. So you will have complete stories, and both of those will have sequels. We were talking about
2023.
2023. By the end of 2023, there will be trade paperbacks for those. And like I said, I've got like a bunch of other stories ready to come that are hopefully equally interesting and twisted and fun. So you know, just trying to get over that hump of being able to keep putting stuff out there, finding the people that like what I do, and giving them as much cool content as I can. That's really it.
Oh yes, love it. I'm done.
You love it? Okay. Yeah. You're just taking over the Oddcast. I can't even do the things I came here for. But no, thank you.
Speaking
again
of Oddcast, I would like to be on here more often.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to take it up with HR.
No, fuck HR.
We hired a new guy.
HR. No, you didn't. no, you didn't.
Guy in a suit.
Nope. You don't call HR to jump in on an interview like that. I am HR.
That's fair. But for all of you at home, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening. I just wanted to say that there's been a huge spike. We've been behind on how many people have actually been listening. There was a bit of a system lag, and I saw that it jumped up quite a bit. So thank you for anyone who's new, who's been tuning in, because I know there has to be more new people that it wasn't saying before. So thanks to all of you. And for real, go check his works out, because they're not things that you're seeing every day. I can tell you from like just being the person I am, reading all the things that I do, these aren't typical ideas. So definitely go check it out. Check all the links out that we're going to have in the description. Give this man your money. Give him your freaking money.
A little bit, and you'll get some great comments in return. Yeah.
I think we need to get you on a Patreon thing too at some point.
I'm just starting a Patreon. I have 0 followers, but I started it. I put it out there because I've got some cool, like I've got some great variant covers, and I got some great swag and some great original art. So I can give people some cool stuff you're not going to get on the Kickstarters or anywhere else. But just getting out of the gate with that, trying to figure it out like everything else.
You also need a TikTok. I'm sorry to say.
Shit.
I know it sucks,
You
dick,
got me
but
to
I
start a
can.
TikTok, and I hate you
Yes,
for it. So
yeah,
don't do that to this man.
But it's just, I can help you streamline at least some of it. I promise. I will do. I'm not joking. I will. Seriously. I will give you what I have knowledge wise. I will
You
help
are
you.
awesome. I can use all the help I can get. So thank you so much.
Okay, your ideas are fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. So
With
if
that,
you were
folks,
a snooze fest, I would never say that.
God
Just
damn.
you're far from a snooze fest, and
If I could
Yeah.
write a boring comic book about a sex robot, that would be an an
That would-
accomplishment.
I was going to say that might actually.
that would be.
You might get popular from that. That's some fucking. How the fuck did you
How
pull
do you
that
do
up?
that?
Oh,
With that, everyone, you all stay on, stay happy. We will catch you on the next one. And thank you to everyone who is here tonight, to James and to Mr. Shawn Hainsworth. I hope you all have a great night.